Hi everyone, it's Becky from Ivy's Corner again here. I'm going to do another little Bijou Tile today. I'm using the Zentangle Bijou Tile in the tan or Renaissance colour. Gives us some nice opportunities for both shade and highlights on the tangle. So I'm really excited to show you a little tangle today, and that one I'm going to do is going to be Keeko. I'm going to start off with Keeko and actually I'm going to draw a little traditional border. So I'm going to do some dots first, just to give me a bit more of a defined space. And I'm going to join them together. There we go, so we have a nice little border. I'm going to draw Keeko, which is a really nice sort of texture tangle, or comprising of straight lines generally, although I'm going to put a little curve on my lines. It's a really good one to fill lots of space, so I'm being fairly restricted on the space that I've got here on my little tile. I'm going to try and do it fairly big, just so that it's kind of clear what I'm doing though, because it can be quite a fiddly tangle. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of take my first line of this tangle from this corner to this corner, and I'm going to start off by doing 4 little lines in a row up to the border. And then I'm going to turn my tile and do the same thing, but kind of at a right angle to those first lines that I drew. Turn my tile and do the same thing again. So just taking your time drawing these lines, there's no rush. See, I'm kind of having to steer it back again because it was going a bit up too much here, not that it really matters which way it goes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then just to fill this space, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the first line of my tangle. Now, when I come to do the next section, I'm basically going to do the opposite of these lines. So these ones are going this direction, the next ones are going to come at a right angle to those. So I'll turn my tile and I'm going to do my lines here. So I'm going to imagine, in fact, I'm going to just pop a little line in there. So it's as if it's kind of carrying on off the tile. And we're going to go, imagine we have had 1, 2, 3, I'm going to probably get an extra one in here. There we go, there's 3 lines there. And then I'm going to turn my tile and then do 4 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn my tile. So it's quite a nice repetitive one, this one. Just extend this one a little bit. Yeah, once you've got the flow of it, it's quite nice to kind of lose yourself in. And kind of end up with this sort of hatched effect. And then we're going to start back down here. 1, 2, and a little 3 there. 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't, I mean, obviously you can see here that mine aren't perfectly even. It doesn't really matter. It's all kind of, in the grand scheme of your tile, going to look much more of a texture than a specific kind of impactful. It's very impactful, but it's like not a tangle of its own kind of focus. There we go. There's probably other ways that you can draw this. You could, move around a bit and fill in different bits. This is just the way that I find easiest. There we go. So that's that corner, and now I'll turn my tile and start doing this bit. Of course, if you wanted to do more than 4 lines in each of your little hatchings, you could easily do that, that's no problem. I've got a little extra on there, why not? There we go. There we go, and just a couple in there to finish my corner off. So there you go, it's a little bit wonky. I've got a bit smaller up here and a bit bigger here, but I think in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to put the cap on my pen, and now it's time to add shade. And what I'm going to do with this one is just sort of shade the whole space rather than sort of, I think with texture tangles often shading the whole space as like the space as a whole rather than individual tangle elements is always easier, because texture tangles tend to be quite detailed and intricate. So if you did lots of shade, it might be easier to do on a larger tile, but I think it's probably easier just to kind of use the whole space as one unit, if that makes sense. So I'm holding my pencil, it's sort of into the palm of my hand, horizontal to the table, and pointing the lead of my pencil into where I want it to be the most detailed, or most defined, excuse me. There we go. I'm going to add a little bit more just into the corners as well. Pop down my pencil and pick up my tortillon. Oops, disappeared from me. And then pointing again the tortillon into where I want to be, have the most defined line, and just gently, little circles, bringing that graphite into the paper. And it does look as if it's dropping down behind this kind of border that we've created. Gently bringing it in. There we go. I'm going to just do a little bit more blending up here. And I think what I'm going to do here as well is just go back through and add a little bit more graphite, just to define these edges a little bit more. So I think layering with your shading is always really good, because it helps to create different kind of layers of light and dark. Adding more graphite is going to just add a little bit more contrast and make the shadows look a little bit darker. There we go. So tortillon again, and just give that a little bit of a blend, but I'm not going to put it out quite so much on this second round of graphite, just to make sure that I'm not stopping those edges looking nice and dark. And then I think because I've got a tan tile, and as I mentioned, they're really good for creating contrast of lights and darks, I think what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of white chalk pencil to the centre to kind of give it that bit of contrast. And so again, holding it on the edge, I'm just going to add a little bit in the middle, like so, as a bit of a highlight. I'm going to pick up my white tortillon, just blend that in, just to give it a little bit of a dynamic feel. And there we have it. There's your Keeko.